Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. So this is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. All right, and we are talking Atlanta. So this is Trini to the bone, y'all. Okay, season 3, episode 7. This was an interesting episode. It was funny. I enjoyed it. You know, I always kind of feel nervous before any episode of Atlanta is about to start because I don't know what direction we going in, where they're gonna take us. You know, I constantly say to you guys that Atlanta will give us funny, they will give us weird, and they will give us facts, right? And this season, we don't really know when we're going to get an episode that's going to have our cast members in it and when we're going to get an episode that don't. For some reason, I feel like they all kind of tie into each other. You know, at first I was thinking it was a dream within a dream. You know, maybe it's earned subconscious. We would see that it was a character in some of the episodes, even if it wasn't with them, that would be named Earn. We would see the name Rose coming up a lot. So I don't know if those have any kind of meanings. But of course, we will always have some type of history lesson in it. Some type of breakdown of, you know, like with the reparations, what it could be, you know, a what if type of thing. So I don't know exactly where they was going with this. It still was facts, though. It was something I could relate to. It's something that I know that happens, but I don't know exactly how it's tied into as far as the characters go, all right? And, of course, art is up into interpretation. Everybody may not be feeling it, but, you know, let's go ahead and get into it and discuss nonetheless, all right? And so with this episode, like I said, it was Trini to the bone. We started out seeing this man, you know, going for a jog, coming in. You know, he's kind of looking shocked to see that his son is still in the house. Like, why is he not gone? You know, he's calling out to his wife and she's saying that she couldn't find something, so she's still there. And she's also mentioning that Sylvia haven't got there yet. So apparently, you know, this is all weird. She would have been there and she would have taken the son to school. And so, you know, she mentioned something about that she had ordered the son of eggs Benedict and basically got them 2 coffees, but she's like, he didn't touch it. So, apparently he wanted some peppers on his eggs Benedict. Okay, he said it ain't got no flavor and he needed to be a little spicy, all right, because you know, his father at first was saying, can you at least eat the bread? And he was like, I don't like that. It's bland, all right? And he was like, well, what do you want me to do for you? How can I fix it? And he said he needed some spicy curry mango, okay? So apparently Sylvia leaves a bowl of that in the refrigerator. So Papa took it out. He put some on it, you know, and little Bash seemed like he was okay with eating it that way. And then when Papa tasted it, he would start coughing. He talking about it's too spicy. He's like, how the heck do he eat this? So, you know, he basically, as he's putting the container back in the refrigerator, gets a call. And, you know, he's like, what? Huh? Oh, no. And, you know, we don't know what's going on with the phone call. He starts going like this to his freaking wife over and over and over, trying to get her attention and get her to come over. But at the same time, when she's like, what's going on? You know, he's not answering and all he doing is this, which that annoys me, but whatever. Okay. And so she's complaining about how she had missed yoga and stuff like that before, you know, he gets the call. And so when he hangs up, finally, he's like, Sylvia is dead. Okay, so Sylvia has been this little boy's Bash nanny, apparently, has been taking care of him, taking him to school and doing all of that kind of stuff with him. And the wife is like, oh my God, oh no, what happened? He's like, well, I don't know, you know, they did not say. And so the wife takes the son to school. You know, she's telling him that either her or her husband will be picking him up, because he was like, is Sylvia gonna pick me up? And he was like, I want Sylvia, okay? I'm used to her being here. So basically he could tell that, you know, the mom is sad. He's like, Mom, are you sad because you missed yoga class? Do you need to ocean breathe? So that kind of made her laugh or whatever. And then he also lets her know, you know, well, normally Sylvia walks me all the way to my classroom because she was just trying to drop him off at the front of the school. So she go ahead and walk him, you know, to the back of the class, you know, back to the classroom or whatever, right? And she tells him everything is going to be okay. So I guess now she was supposed to be like on her way to work and she's calling her, you know, husband, FaceTiming with him. And she's like, oh, do you know that the teacher had the nerve to be like, you know, that we wasn't there for the family picture day or whatever. And he was like, really? We couldn't have been the only ones. And she's like, yeah, the nerve, like, how dare she ask me that? We have to work. We can't make it there for things like that. And so then he was saying, should they go ahead and let him know about Sylvia dying? And the father feels like, yes, we do need to let him know. We can't lie to him. And the mother's kind of like, she don't know whether, you know what I mean? He's too young to tell him. And so essentially they make the decision that they're going to tell him. And at first, when they come into his room, the father was going to give him an example of a dog that they had, but the mother talking about no, 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 no. She started talking about some, oh, you know how you like dinosaurs and they're extinct. I'm like, huh? I'm like, what the hell? Dinosaurs going extinct got to do with death? Okay, where is this conversation going? And so of course he's like, oh yeah, they get wiped out by meteors. So they like, okay, well, maybe that's not the best, example. They say, well, some people go to sleep and then they don't wake up, all right? And so, of course, now he's like, is that going to happen to me? And they're like, no, baby, it's not going to happen to you. You're young. That happens to old people, okay? So I don't think they having the death conversation too good, all right? But he then says, okay, is that going to happen to you? And they're like, oh, no, no, we good, honey. You ain't got to worry about us. It's not going to happen to us either. But Bash was like, well, y'all old, okay? Y'all just said it happens to old people. So I thought that was funny. But nonetheless, finally the dad just blurts out, Sylvia is dead. And he was like, well, can she come back and say bye to me and then go back to being dead? And the father's like, it doesn't work that way. And so basically this starts a discussion between the mom and dad. Do we take him to the funeral? He does want to see her again. He does want to be able to say, goodbye. The mother's against it. She's saying he's too young. But the father's basically like, only here in America do we make death taboo. Years and years ago, they actually would have big ceremonies and they would have the person, in the living room, and you could have days to come in and say your goodbyes to the person and all of that kind of stuff, which is true. And the wife response was, ew, So she's not down with it. And apparently Sylvia also had, clothes, wigs, different items that she's left over at the house, during the time that she was coming here to work. So they're packing up that stuff and saying that, they would go ahead and drop it off to her family. And then maybe it's better they go see her family in person. And the husband mentions that he thinks she said that the services was at 10 a.m., but he could not understand everything she was saying, right? And the husband's response and the wife's response was just like two different things. Now she's talking about, well, maybe we could get somebody metropolitan to watch them. And he's like, that sounds expensive. She was like, Sylvia wasn't cheap. And he was like, yeah, and Sylvia wasn't expensive. Okay. Then she started talking about, well, maybe we could get somebody Mandarinian, and he's like, he was like, because he could be fluent in Mandarin. And he was like, well, I don't think we're going to be able to get no Chinese nanny right now. So the wife was irking my damn nerves. All right. And then she also was saying, maybe we should have got somebody younger. I guess she felt like if they would got somebody younger, then they wouldn't have to worry about them dying. And so all of a sudden, when she look up, Sebastian is standing in the doorway. And she's like, oh my God, Sebastian, I did not hear you, okay? You were so daggone quiet. And he's basically like, I can't sleep. I'm scared. He's like, Sylvia used to come in the room with me. She would rub my back and she would rub my back in a circle of motion, okay? And then she would sing to me, all right? And she would sing TNT. So his mother's like, okay, like, what is that? I don't know that song, he said. And then she would sit in the rocking chair and sing. And so he was like, sweet TNT song. And so basically she's like, what? And he's like, sweet TNT. So he was like, Trini to the bone. And he starts singing it or whatever. And she's like, oh, I don't know that song. Okay, so she starts talking about some, but I do know Baby Beluga in the Deep Blue Sea. Honey, he didn't want to hear that. Okay, he want to hear when Miss Sylvia was singing to him. All right, and you can tell that excuse me, Sylvia was teaching her about the Trinidadian culture. She was giving him the food. She was singing the songs to him, And she was essentially the parent, all right? That's what it basically boiled down to me. She was the parent. She was his everything. He loves her and he missed her, and the mother's telling him he don't have to feel worried. And he's like, well, I do feel worried, all right? And she was like, well, that's okay. You're going to be okay. Everything is going to be all right. And so we could see that Miss Sylvia had a very big impact of him on him, and he knew more about Sylvia than the parents did, and Sylvia knew more about him than his parents did. Okay, that's what it boils down to. And a lot of times when you have these nannies that's raising the kids, that is a fact. Okay, and so they do go to the funeral the next morning. The daughter comes out and introduces herself to him, she telling them, oh, I heard about y'all, I know about y'all, whatever the case may be. My mother used to always tell me, about y'all. And Mr. Sebastian knew the sayings, okay? He was like, cockroaches ain't got no time for that. They can't be at no parties, all right? And he basically was, you know, she was like, you must be Sebastian. Of course, she knew right away. She was like, Mama used to call her your little curry mouth, okay? And she was like, I know you loved her roadie. And she was like, we heard so much about you, about all of you. And so she was like, y'all gonna stay for the wake later, right? And of course, they like, And she was like, come on now, y'all gotta stay. Y'all family now. And we got plenty food, okay? We got paloo, we got corn syrup, we got fish broth, we got dumplings, we got roadie. And she was like, Mama used to say, it's Betty to belly best, and then, Sebastian finishes off, then the good to go to waste. And she was like, you know what? You know my heart. She was like, all right, now get on in here. Okay, so when they first come in, everybody's being invited with them. The daughter's telling Sebastian, thank you. You gave me a good laugh. You making me feel good. Everybody seems to know them because they the only daggone white people there, so I guess it ain't hard. And Miss Sylvia has been telling them about them, so she tells them where to go ahead and park their car at. Is this little boy that's sitting out there that she like, he got it, he gonna take care of it, don't worry about it. The little boy look like he busy on his phone or whatever, and she tell him, it's good. So like I said, you got different people saying hello. He takes Sebastian up, he let him look at her body, but she looked beautiful. She really looked like she was just laying there sleeping. You have this other guy turn around and talk to them and say, I'm glad you here. Sylvia always talk to you. And, the father saying thank you, and God give my condolences to you. And so he started telling them, like, my name is Devin, and if you're in the market for, new child care services, I may be able to be of assistance, okay? He was like, I was a little league coach, I'm a spiritual therapist. And I fix TVs, okay? I install them when I can. So he was like, just hit my line. So the lady next to him is like, you don't have no damn shame. He was like, what? She telling him to know his place or whatever have you, right? And so then, you have another guy talking about how you doing to them, and they all introducing themselves. And we hearing this accent coming out, and I'm looking at the guy, and I'm like, wait, I know that ain't no damn Chet Hanks. I was cracking up like, you know what, Donald Glover, you are a daggone fool, right? Chet Hanks just basically being Chet Hanks in this, right? And he says, when they tell him that Sylvia used to be Sebastian's babysitter, he says that he was her babysitter too. They're asking him if he's from Trinidad and Jamaica. And he's like, no, I'm not from neither one. And it's Trinidad and Tobago, all right? And so he basically was saying that he grew up and he was like, and no, all right. He says that I'm from Tribeca, and they talking about, oh, your accent is so strong. And he was like, oh yeah, everybody always tells me that. And so that part, what I'm saying, did have me laughing. I was like, oh, so that's gonna be Bash when he get older, all right? And then you have the preacher come in, and he's saying he's sorry that he late, and he was like, let the church say amen. And he's starting the service, and he's talking about all these great things that Miss Sylvia has done, okay, and the impact that she has made on the community. He tells them to bow their head and close their eyes. They start saying this prayer. He's reading Psalms 34:18, and Bash is into it, okay? He's like, yes. So Sylvia apparently was bringing him to church services with him too. The mother and the father looking at him, and they looking all lost. But Bash is feeling the spirit, honey, and he came to praise the Lord, all right? And so They basically said they pray and stuff like that. And like I said, the pastor basically starts breaking down, that they have come to celebrate a marvelous life. She has done so much for her community. She was born June 8th, the year 1957, and she is survived by her beautiful children. And so throughout him talking, there's one particular child that's just giving this stink eye the whole daggone time, and he says her grandchildren, and, that she was a passionate child care professional. She basically nursed many children, was a nanny to many children right here in New York City, and she always loved children, okay? That was her dedication, that was her heart, and that is what she did with her life. And he said, but before settling down and having kids, she actually was a ballet dancer with Alvin Ailey Dance Company, okay, for several years, all right? So Miss Sylvia was out here doing her thing, all right? And she was mixing Trinidadian and African traditional dance, and brought confidence and fairness with her, all right, that was unstoppable. So I was like, okay, I'm here for this, And instead of, she was one of the first of her family to move here, and she always tried to send back money to her family, to bring family over here to the United States that she could. She actually got to bring, I think he said it was one sister that she was able to bring, and that sister's son actually was her sister Nancy or whatever, and her son actually was a wide receiver for the Patriots. And so again, the father is basically looking like, wow, our daggone nanny's nephew was basically Oswald James, and he's a wide receiver. And so the wife don't seem like she give a damn. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I heard, whatever. But he's really fascinated and impressed by this. And it was another example of the fact that they really didn't know her or anything about her, And then the preacher starts reading 41:10 to them, Psalms 41:10, no, Isaiah 41:10. And like I said, here you got Bash. He's like, yes, 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 amen. He's all into it. All right. And the parents don't seem to know nothing about this. So Miss Sylvia was teaching this boy the Bible too. Okay. The Sylvia was doing right by Bash. And so the father all of a sudden got some random freaking airdrop on his phone. I don't know what this had to do with anything. It looked like it was a daggone butthole, honey. I don't know. But, the wife was saying, what's that? And he was like, I don't know. And he just hurried up and put it back in his daggone, coat pocket. But needless to say, he says that that Sylvia believed in tradition, right? And he says that she was always doing for everybody, and she always asked that the limbo dance be done as a tribute, okay? And so he said now before going to the burial site that they were going to do this, and they had some Hillcrest students there, right? Which was a school dance program that Sylvia herself started, and they were going to come up and do the limbo dance to one of Sylvia's favorite songs, okay? Trini to the bone. So this is what, Bash was talking about. So this gets Bash so excited, so happy. And you have, these dancers come up with their beautiful dresses on and they head wraps. And they are ready to go ahead and get into it, all right? So the song starts playing. They start dancing. Bash is living his best life. This is okay with him. Okay, they giving Mama Sylvia her, tribute and her due. And, the song is just going on and everybody starts getting up and dancing. So then they feel out of place because they the only ones that's sitting. So they go ahead and stand up as well. And they having a funky good time. Until, okay, because it always got to be that one person at the daggone funeral that's going to act a fool. So Miss Sylvia's daughter get up. And she is very upset. She banging on the coffee. She's saying, yeah, I get up, I hear y'all. Y'all get up here. Y'all saying all these nice things about my mother and what she did for everybody else. But the fact is she was not there for us. She's saying to her brother, where was she when you got beat up? Where was she when my laptop got stolen and this and that happened? And they basically like she was there doing work so that she could provide for us. She got the nerve to be banging on the coffin and everything. So then, next thing you know, child, a fight break out. The daggone sisters pulling the casket open again. Honey, they start to show the heck out, and somebody else had to get up and be like, calm down, get on the mic and be like, stop it. He was like, you scaring the white people. And that's basically what got them to stop, because at this point, bashing his parents, they had already jumped up and was like, okay, no, this getting crazy. We got to get up out of here. And they was trying to get, gone. And so now when they on the spot and everybody looking at them and they like, now you scaring them and making them want to leave, you basically have, them like, oh, no, we just had to go anyway. It's not, about this. And then the guy tells, ask Bash, like, are you sad? Or, were you scared? And Bash says, yes, he is. And he was like, don't be scared. He said, it's okay. I know we fighting and carrying on, but this is the way we hurt. We're just hurting. We're just sad right now. And so that was very real. Okay. And another thing that I forgot to mention to you guys is that through the process of this, after they first got the phone call, there was a knock at the door where they had basically dropped off this envelope, and it was addressed to Sylvia. So I was like, okay, Sylvia died, then Sylvia got mail there, what's going on, right? And so they had put return back to sender, because it's like, okay, Sylvia's not around anymore. And when he was talking to the wife, he was like, it's so strange. I said return back to sender, and they said they don't know who sent it, who came and knocked at the door. And the package got sent back to them again saying second attempt. And it was like, well, open the damn envelope and see what's in it, right? But they was never seeming to open it. It was mysterious. The wife was like, yeah, that is strange. I don't know, what I'm saying, what the heck that's about. And so, when they get home, and get settled, I guess, getting ready for bed and all of that kind of stuff. Dad comes to check on Bash and was like, are you okay? He was like, yes, Dad, I'm good. And he was like, okay, well, good night. And then Bash tells him, good night, love you, Dad. And, after the father leaves and turns out the light, Bash basically just looks at the chair and was like, good night, Sylvia. I was like, oh, because you could tell that she really left a big imprint on him, all right, and he is gonna miss him some Sylvia. And so then when, the father goes in the room with the wife, she looking all mopey and depressed and down. When they was living the funeral, Papa was starting to sing the damn Sweet TNT song, all right. He had it in his head, then he want to educate her on how the limbo dance started, and that is so fascinating, and that the slaves were mimicking and go down and hold each other while they was on the slave ship. And she cuts him off and was like, did we do the right thing? And he's like, yes, of course we did, absolutely. He was like, yes. And so she talking about, well, I just don't know, the people were screaming and they were fighting, and one woman was yelling. What about if yelling at her mother? What about if one day Bash would feel that way? I would never want him to feel that way. I guess in terms of the girl saying that her mother was never there for them. So she was like, I don't want him to feel like we were never there when he needed us. And so the father was like, we are there for him. We are there for him. He was like, look, I know, Sebastian, and I know that he can handle it, and he can handle what he saw today. He will be fine. And so, she just still looking miserable and like she ready to cry or whatever have you. And he's like, I'm telling you, you don't have anything to worry about where that is concerned. And so she was like, when I was putting Sebastian to bed tonight, he basically, I had asked him what he want to be when he grow up. And he basically was like, he want to be like Uncle Samuel. So they both looking confused. The father's like, Uncle Samuel? He was like, who's Uncle Samuel? I don't understand. And she was like, I don't know. So again, my point is, they don't know their son. They don't know what he's into. They don't know about him. They didn't know about daggone Sylvia. Sylvia and Sebastian, okay, knew each other. She was the parent, okay, and they were not. And maybe it was a lesson in there for them with all of this, because of the fact of seeing the daughter and how she was saying that, her mom was never there for her, even though she was taking care of all these other kids, because at the end of the day, even with picture day, they were never there. And so, the teacher brought that up to her when she went to the school, right? And so the next thing you know, They in bed, they sleeping, is this banging, 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 banging at the door. And it's like, who the heck is banging at this time, right? Because obviously it was supposed to be late. So the father goes down, he opens the door, is this package again? And I'm still saying, open the damn package, okay? Obviously, if you keep getting it, then it's for you, all right? And at this point, Sylvia can't take it back because she dead. And the funniest thing about it is that every time that they would get this knock, when they would open it, the person would be going like this and it would just be the package, honey. So I feel like Sylvia was dropping this off to them, all right, making sure that they got it. And when he opened it up, it was basically the pictures, okay, of Sylvia and Bash together, which I'm assuming was from the school day that they didn't show up to, okay? It was all different kind of pictures of them two together for her to give to Bash. So that was the episode, y'all. I don't know what you get out of it. All right, but I do know that it definitely was realistic and is something that does happen. It was interesting. It did make me laugh. But you guys let me know. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you take away from it? What do you think it was supposed to mean? Do you think it has any connection to the other episodes? Or do you think it was just like a standalone episode by itself that just was putting it out there to start a conversation, get people to thinking, put it all in the comments. Let's discuss. Okay. Till next time. Toodaloo.